There is beauty in all things, and even the shadows have their wonders. Dissatisfaction is a propulsion, and it draws us ever upward. It unites all human beings, from the lowliest to the highest. Even spiritual masters have had to move through intense dissatisfaction. Of course, in its early stages, this energy is not pleasant, whether we're its propagator or receiver. These days, we'd have to go a long way to find a person who isn't dissatisfied. A feeling of separation is part of the human experience. We long for someone or something that will make us feel complete and genuinely connected to something beyond ourselves. It's a vague sense of loss, an emptiness within us, an ache to return home, and all people participate in this pain. It unites all beings. Look around yourself. Look at the lives of those closest to you. Do they appear satisfied? Truly, deeply satisfied? Is there anything inside us that feels complete? Even the very smallest thing? Can we imagine a state of utter satisfaction? Of course, we have had moments. We all have moments. Precious, fleeting experiences when our frowns are wiped away by something beautiful, something numinous. Yet our underlying state is that of incompleteness. Thus, we are all seekers by degrees, and there are all manner of manifestations of seeking. This key's partner is the 52nd key, and its shadow is stress. Stress is a kind of seeking, as is aggression and even hatred, if we can stretch our understanding of this concept to encompass those. Each shadow state is an attempt to fill the vacuum left by the cosmic hole we feel inside. Seeking can be positive and creative, as it is in the gift, or it can be negative and destructive. When seeking is unconscious, it becomes destructive. It's very far from beautiful. What is beautiful is the underlying truth of its energy. The expression, however, can be horrendous. The 58th shadow may well be responsible for some of the greatest atrocities and conflicts. The dilemma in this key is all about rhythm. There's a natural rhythm that unites all creatures and leads to joy and peace. When we're not in tune with that rhythm, we feel disturbed inside. It's possible to fight against the rhythm and swim upstream against its current out of frustration, anger, misery, or numbness. We may be bored, empty, lost, depressed, or desperate, and so we do anything to get a reaction from life. The reaction usually causes more suffering to us and others. Strangely, in shadow, the rhythm of life can be so bent and distorted that it may even give us an odd kind of black relief from the vacuum of dissatisfaction. It's important to understand how these things work because it helps us to accept the dark side and see it in a more compassionate light. Underneath every destructive human behavior is the same seed of dissatisfaction, and there's beauty in that commonality. We're one in that. We're all brothers and sisters on the same journey, and we all share the same ache. We have to learn to put ourselves in the right rhythm for our seeking. We need to learn the difficult lesson that seeking pleasure or relief on the outside can never remove the ache of dissatisfaction that we feel in our souls. As awareness begins to arrive in our life, we see a gradual transformation occur. The gift is revealed from within, through a series of insights and breakthroughs that come about as we meet life face to face. This takes courage. We have to let life wound us. We have to learn to bow to our suffering. In the I Ching, this key is named the joyous. Yet how can we have joy without sadness? Loss is a part of human life, and we all lose people we love. How we deal with loss is a deep part of our learning within this key. Loss actually contains vast reserves of vitality, and this is the 58th gift. It all depends on the development of our soul and how much we've learned. We experience everything we need in order to learn, grow, and evolve. Life as we know it often has a deep melancholic flavor. Those we love leave us. Our hearts get attached and then broken, and we have to heal over and over again. Yet there is a deep undercurrent of tenderness at work in all of this. We think that lives and souls are extinguished, but life isn't all about loss. We never truly lose the things and people we love. It's a cliche to say that we carry them in our hearts, but it's true. Everything we touch and everyone we love becomes a part of us and increases our vitality. All the people we've ever loved will all be there in front of us when our heart one day opens absolutely. This is true both metaphorically and literally. They're there because they're aspects of us and us of them, but we also remain connected beyond our lifetime on this earth. The keys teach us many things, and one of the greatest things is that loss is not what it seems. It's actually an opening to greater joy. The one who appears to have left is actually allowing us to feel more whole within ourselves. That's the sole reason for their leaving. Yes, there are other reasons rooted in universal laws, but essentially, the whole game of seeking is about moving deeper into joyousness. It's the wound that inspires the growth that makes us whole, the dissatisfaction that drives us toward the essential, and the essential is love. When awareness arrives, it's as though the most beautiful dawn happens within our being. We become a cultivator of seeds, and we use the experiences of our life to bring more light into our heart. It takes time and mindfulness. Awareness is like soft rain that falls upon our dissatisfaction, which then sprouts into creativity and service. This is the great wisdom of this key: service, to serve the whole and to serve others, to use that seeking energy, that precious fuel, to help others, not as a means to escape our own feelings, but as a means to feel human, to feel that we've a higher purpose, and that purpose is to influence the world around us for the better. In almost all religious cultures, there's a great tradition of service, of serving others less fortunate than ourselves. It may have become a stale tradition, a mere custom, or an obligation performed in deference to expectations or fear, but originally it was an impulse from those who had raised their consciousness to great heights. As we refine our life force, our vitality, it becomes benevolence. It becomes a great swelling urge to help others that is very different from service motivated by fear that ultimately burns us out and breeds more dissatisfaction. The more we give out of genuine desire to be of service, from a place of gratitude in our heart, the more our vitality grows. You can test it for yourself. Just do something different one day in the next week of your life. Do something unexpectedly giving without an expectation of outcome or return. See how this gift of vitality returns to you, and you'll see right through the shadow into the heart of the great mystery. The beauty offered by the keys and the Siddhis is that they give us some form of objective view of what it is to experience enlightened consciousness. There's a difference between bliss and ecstasy or rapture, which are Siddhis for two other keys. There's a connection in each key between the word that describes the shadow and the word that describes the Siddhi. The shadow is the seed, and the Siddhi is the fruit. The potential for the fruit is there all along, right from the beginning within the seed. When we look at the Siddhis paired with their shadows, the nuances become apparent. Desire contains the seed of rapture. Seriousness contains the seed of ecstasy. And dissatisfaction contains the seed of bliss. It's a subtle difference, but we can see the subtlety. We can imagine dissatisfaction becoming bliss inside ourselves. All our seeking one day detonates and comes to an end. Our self-inquiry, our search, becomes so internalized that it has no choice but to return to its own source. This is the eventual culmination of our seeking. For many of us, it may still feel like a distant dream, but the beauty of these Siddhis is that we get to bring those dreams closer. With the knowledge of where the shadow of dissatisfaction is guiding us, we can imagine ourselves into the Siddhic state of bliss. We bring the Siddhi into the form of our life. Even if the experience is brief, it still moves us closer to the enlightened end of the spectrum. If we've ever experienced a moment of bliss, a moment of deep satisfaction, we can use that as a seed and water its memory, flood ourselves with that memory, and cultivate it until it becomes stronger. This is a great, powerful, and practical practice. This is as practical as the Siddhis get. It's the difference between reading a map for where we want to go, or simply wandering around blindfolded and hoping we're going in the direction of something better. We still have to go about our daily lives, but we can layer in this part of the experience and practice moving in bliss while still being able to communicate with others and be useful. It's all about weaving the state into our life. The moment there's a pause and our awareness turns inward, the bliss is there. But then life, our responsibilities, others, anything, can draw us back out again into the outer senses. Then the bliss moves to the background as the awareness turns to the external. It's like breathing. We need the movement inward and outward to be comfortable and fully alive. Seen in this way, the Siddhis can be much easier to integrate into our lives. They never leave us. They're always the background state, but our awareness moves and breathes with the flow of life. And so the state becomes a stage. It doesn't leave us, it remains, and only awareness moves. There are stages of being anchored in bliss, and we have to practice it and get used to how it feels so we can reach for it when we choose. Our bodies have to acclimate to it, and as they do so, over time, the bliss becomes stabilized. This is why the 58th Siddhi is paired with the 52nd, keeping still. Because the bliss has to become anchored in the world. Heaven must come to earth. Bliss, true bliss, is utter stillness. It's unmoving, unflinching. It is eternal as we are. We also learn how each Siddhi feels in our body and heart, so we know the antidote to reach for when its shadow comes up in our experience. As with all shadows, there will be external events and circumstances that trigger an initial instinctive reaction of dissatisfaction. With practice and awareness, we'll recognize that reaction for what it is, know that experiencing it is optional, and reach for the antidote that we've cultivated for ourselves, going inward and taking hold of the bliss that's always available to us. Using this strategy with all shadows is our path to building and preserving true and dependable stability and security, the kind that can never be gained through external means, but every one of us can create for ourselves.